Hello everyone, my name is Caden K from Hide and Seek, and welcome to a brand new video. Now, grab your blanket, grab your snacks, and get comfortable, because today we're going to be going into the cult-like behaviors of the Jonestown Massacre. This one has been requested by a good handful of people. In all honesty, I don't really know who to trace it back to being the first one to really recommend it, but this is one that's been very popular, and a lot of people have said, Caden, you need to do it, you need to do it. So, here we are. That's what we're doing. We're doing it right now. Yeah, so Yep, this one is dark, sick, twisted, demented. Any other adjectives and synonyms you can think of for those words, they work. So, enough of my talking, let's hop in. Our story starts off with a very ambitious young man by the name of Jim Jones. He was born on May 13th, 1931 in Indiana. He grew up with a very strong interest in reading. Political theory is something that he took a lot of interest in. He loved reading works from Mao, Stalin, Marx, the works. On top of being interested in political theory, he was also very interested in religion, like really heavily invested in religion. And that's not a bad thing. It's just that the mix of those two things probably didn't blend too well, so it made him a little awkward to be around. He was cited as being a very weird kid that was overly obsessed with religion and death. There's an allegation that he even held funerals for small animals at his house, and then he even stabbed a cat to death. If you don't know the warning signs for a potential killer, that's one of them. Harming an animal to the point of death, or even just harming animals at all, is one of the most common things that leads into people wanting to take it up a notch. Jim Jones had a very peculiar childhood, and a lot of the allegations seem to show for it. Oh, and on top of that, his father was a KKK member. So there's that. His parents eventually separated, and Jones was then moved into another part of Indiana. The next few years of his life weren't bad, actually. He graduated from high school with honors and eventually married a nurse. He pursued an education and got a degree in secondary education. It took him 10 years to get the degree. Shortly after obtaining the degree, he opened the first People's Temple. This church was racially integrated, which was rather progressive for the time, considering it was the 1950s. In the early 60s, though, Jones decided to move the group to California. This wasn't just because he wanted to. He said there was going to be some nuclear holocaust, and California was the only safe place. In the 70s, Jones decided to make an ambitious move and move the group to a more populated area in San Francisco. This is when the ball started really rolling for Jones. He started to become a powerful figure in the San Francisco area. He got a lot of favor from public officials and the media. He donated money to a lot of charities and even helped deliver votes for a lot of politicians. His power and stature swept the San Francisco area. The number of members that attended the People's Temple grew to 20,000 people. As their membership grew in size, though, the temple started receiving a lot of suspicion. Older members began to speak out about the mistreatment during the time in the group. People said that they were subjected to beatings, forced to give up their belongings, homes, and even custody over their children. The growing amount of investigations increased a lot of anxiety in Jones. He then informed his followers of the new socialist utopia that would be in Guyana. Basically on the other side of the world. He told his members about all the great things that would come by moving there. Of course, his cult believed him. He moved 1,000 of his followers to Guyana to make their mark on the country. Jonestown wasn't the socialist utopia that James had promised. It was a lot more corrupt than that. Jonestown was practically hell on earth. Temple workers worked long days in the fields and were subjected to harsh punishments if they questioned Jones' authority. Their passports and medications were confiscated, and they were plagued by mosquitoes and tropical diseases. Armed guards patrolled the jungle compound, and their letters and phone calls were censored. Members were encouraged to inform one another and were forced to attend lengthy, late-night meetings. On top of this, he forced his temple members to participate in mock suicide drills. Everything started to go downhill for Jones. He started to get heavily addicted to drugs, and despite not really having much of one anyway, his mental state started to deteriorate rapidly. He decided to have a throne crafted for himself on the island, and even started comparing himself to Jesus Christ. California decided to set their sights on the place. The rumors of the activities happening there were just becoming too much. Leo Ryan, a Congress representative from California's 11th district, decided to go on a mission to Jonestown to investigate the allegation. He went there with relatives of temple members, a camera crew, and reporters from a plethora of newspapers. On November 17th, the congressmen and reporters were welcomed to the Jonestown compound. To their surprise, with dinner and entertainment. Jones even agreed to meet with the reporters. During the visit, though, some temple members asked Ryan's group to help them get out of Jonestown. On the 18th, Ryan and his group, which also included a small conglomerate of temple followers, left Jonestown. While waiting at a nearby jungle airstrip, they were ambushed by gunmen sent by Jim Jones. Ryan was killed along with a reporter and cameraman from NBC, a photographer from the San Francisco Examiner, and a female temple's member who was attempting to leave. Later that day, Jim Jones told his followers that soldiers were about to storm Jamestown and torture them. He ordered everyone to gather in the main pavilion and commit what he termed a revolutionary act. The youngest members of the People's Temple were the first to die, as parents and nurses used syringes to drop a potent mix of cyanide into the children's throats. Adults then lined up to drink the poison-laced concoction while armed guards surrounded the establishment. This horrific event is the source of the phrase, drinking the Kool-Aid. When officials arrived to the compound the next day, bodies were everywhere. 909 people died that day in Jonestown. A third of the death toll, children. A sliver of people managed to escape before everything hit the fan. 33 survived. Only 33 people. There's even audio of the deaths of these individuals. It's cited the Jonestown death tape. I initially was going to play a small sliver of the audio here, but I listened to all of it myself, and I've been in the true crime community for a while. I've seen a lot of things and I heard a lot of things, but even I wasn't prepared for it. I wasn't ready for what I had to hear. So I don't feel comfortable playing it at all, because if it disturbs me, okay, there's something wrong. So I'm not going to play it. If you're interested, though, it is out there, but just please do so with caution. In my opinion, one of the most frustrating things about this entire thing is the fact that Jim Jones died like a coward. He injected poison in a bunch of his followers, his wife too, and he took a bullet to the head. He shot himself, while his followers had to die a gruesome death like that. He's a coward. It frustrates me. He's a coward. He's weak. Nothing more. And this basically brings us to the end of it all. I know. No happy endings. Nothing really. 33 people survived. That's the best thing that we can say. But I mean, yeah. No real happy endings with this one, guys. Sorry. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you liked the video, why not like and subscribe? It definitely helps me out. If you didn't, why not dislike and let me know what I can improve on next time. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you on the next one.